right, always a pleasure to be joined by my next guest. The Shadow Khai Wu is back on the show, and he finally has a fight against Alejandro Rodriguez in the main event of Colorado Combat Club 7, July the 24th. Khai, how are you, sir?
Good, Ryan. I'm so excited. Last time I chatted with you, I had no fights, and we're going into the pandemic, and now I'm chatting with you again. I got a fight.
Yes, sir. That was all the way back in April of 2020. I cannot believe how each year it just goes by faster than the last. It's insane. What has life been like for you since we last talked, my friend?
A lot of ups and downs. Last time I chatted with you, I wasn't really sure how long this whole thing was going to last. And, it was just a lot of waiting around, playing Call of Duty games, working out on my own time. A lot of it was shut down, so it's not like I had access to training partners. Everyone was kind of scared at the time. No one really knew what to expect from like the whole COVID, and the information we had was very limited. But I gotta say, during that time, last time I chatted with you till now, a lot has happened. A lot of good Marvel TV shows dropped, so that was awesome. But honestly, in terms of training, things started picking up or closer till like the winter time last year. That's when training really started picking up, and back to full contact training, sparring, training at the gyms because gyms started opening up. It was just a little bit nicer. So a lot of things has happened, but in short summary, not much happened or was able to happen. You know what I'm saying? During that time, other than towards winter, I had a lot more training and waiting around, getting a lot of fight opportunities, but just my gym closed down. I got into a car accident, and then just a bunch of stuff was popping up left and right, and it was just preventing me from committing fully to one thing. But here we are now.
So what are things like in California right now? Is it pretty much back to normal pre-COVID?
I would say as much as possible. You still have to wear a mask, but there's a lot of people that are out and about. A lot of parties actually are happening, for better or for worse. It's, you can decide. But it seems like California is opening up slowly, which I am glad. I do not. Regardless of what I think of COVID or how I feel like it affects you, I definitely don't want to get it because if I get it, I can't fight, right? So I'm still trying to avoid the large crowds. I'm training with people that I know, and for the most part, cases we're at the lowest point since the beginning of the pandemic of COVID cases. So it's a good sign. Things are turning around. I'm optimistic, but one thing that I've learned from last year is just be happy when things are the way they are. Don't look too far ahead. Don't look in the past either, because last year we kept thinking, oh, 2 more weeks of this, oh, 2 more months of this, oh, 3 more months of this, oh wait, it's gonna happen for a whole year, and we're still kind of in it. So I've learned to just kind of appreciate every training session we have, learn as much as I can, make the adjustments now, and don't think too much ahead about like the fight or the future, because you never know what's going to happen. So I think that's where we're kind of at, and California is slowly opening up, so it's a good sign.
Yeah, we got to live in the now, right? That's the best way to live.
Exactly.
Now, you said people out in California still, like, if you go out, you have to wear a mask. That is the law still out there? Because it's not where I'm at in New England.
If you go outside, like walking around, you don't have to wear a mask. But let's say you go into a store or crowded areas, you do have to wear masks still. And I think it's good. I mean, if they think it prevents the spread, I mean, who am I? I'm an MMA fighter. I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to argue with whoever came up with the idea. But at the same time, I'm not going to wear my mask if I'm just walking in my neighborhood, and it's fresh air. I need to get some of that fresh air, or maybe go for a walk. So, yeah, they're leaning up more lenient with the mask restrictions and whatnot. And I believe Costco and Walmart and a few other places said they go by if you're vaccinated, you can come in without a mask. I think it's like a honor system, but I don't know how that's playing out so far because they still are enforcing the rules. I think it's after the 14th they said they'll slowly ease up.
Yeah, that's what it's like where I'm at right now. We're kind of like on the honor system where if you have been vaccinated, you're allowed to go into, Walmarts and other stores and not wear a mask. But if you haven't, you're supposed to. So now we're going to live in weird times, no doubt about it. Now, you mentioned a couple of great Marvel sitcoms and whatnot that have been out. Let's talk about that for a second. Give me some suggestions. What have you liked?
WandaVision was great. Loki just came out last night. You got Falcon, Winter Soldier. Mandalorian was out since last time I talked to you. Mandalorian season 2, that whole Luke Skywalker moment. Oh my gosh. You have like King Kong versus Godzilla. You have Castlevania that came out. The Boys season 2. You have so much good stuff that just came out. So I am on Castlevania right now. I just finished it, so I'm still kind of like off that high. And I recommend everyone to go watch that show. It's freaking awesome. That's one of the greatest anime adaptations of a video game that they turned into. Netflix did great on that, but I don't know why they kind of canceled it. It wasn't really a cancellation, but it kind of, that's the direction they're going, so it doesn't make sense to me. But man, I'm so excited for the Marvel stuff coming up. You have Eternals, you have Shang-Chi coming out soon, so I'm so excited. It's like perfect timing. Black Widow's going to come out finally, so I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming out. And for the people that are in certain states that are still a little bit more locked down, like I don't know if New York is or whatever, but I recommend, catching up on some Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I'm a movie nut, TV nut in general. I've seen pretty much anything that's ever come out. I mean, that's why I think I told you this. I moved to California in 2008. I was there for 5 years because I was pursuing acting and whatnot. I had a couple of things that I did, but
I've seen your impersonations. They're hilarious. They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, as far as, other things in your life, like work and whatnot, like tell me, I guess, what the day-to-day, week-to-week life is like for you right now.
Yeah, so I had my dad come visit me from Taiwan. He's just coming back, checking out things here because, he's retired now. So my dad came back for a little bit, for like a month, hanging out with him, training every day. I do teach private lessons here and there. Ever since signing with Dodge Sports, actually, they have made my life a heck of a lot easier. They find my sponsors now. They talk to people for me. I just give them an idea, and then I sit down and chat with them every other day. So my day-to-day is very simple. I got a new laptop and a new editing software system, so I'm creating more YouTube channels. I've been kind of like off of that for a little bit, but it was just, we were still kind of shut down, so it's kind of hard to make content and videos. And some of the stuff I posted would be like from way back, but then people would mistake it for nowadays. And then some people would message me, they're like, how could you be so irresponsible? And and I was just like, all right guys, I'm not trying to argue with anyone, and I'm trying to stay away from that whole politics game. And there's that whole rioting that was going down in California, and then Asians are getting attacked, and then people are like, why aren't you speaking out? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like everyone's turning things into political stuff. So I stayed off social media for a little bit, just making a few posts here and there, supporting my teammates. Speaking of teammates, I got Lucas from Resistance fighting at Triumphant this weekend. He is fighting another guy named Lucas, or Luke, the chef. He's a very good name in Muay Thai, but our guy Lucas at Resistance he's gonna get it done. And then we got Alexis Davis fighting in the UFC this weekend. So I've been training with her a little bit, seeing how awesome they are. So shout out to them, But yeah, just training day to day would be. I'm splitting time between 3 gyms now just because one of my main gyms closed. So I have to drive about 50 minutes to Turlock, 30 minutes to Resistance, and about an hour to Omni Movement with my striking coach, Steve. So I've been having to drive all over the place. Gas prices have definitely gone up, so it hasn't been helping. However, I'm very fortunate because of my car accident last year. I totaled my car, but my car was estimated at a value way higher than I had thought. And I was able to get a brand new car thanks to my friend, James Yu. He sold me a new Honda. So that car is way more gas efficient. It's not that bad. So driving around has been kind of fun.
Okay, well that's good. And no injuries with the accident. You were okay physically.
I am okay physically. Mentally, it was just a little like, it was just frustrating because it's like, as if things couldn't get worse. COVID, not being able to find a fight, gym closed down, training starting to go well, and then a car accident happened, set me back, and a bunch of other little things, that's just been really unfortunate. A lot of people that I know got diagnosed with cancer. My sister's dog that I grew up with, we call him Neo. That's his name. White little Pomeranian. As annoying as he was, I loved him. He passed away like a few weeks ago just due to cancer. They found him just not eating in his body. So it's been kind of like, it's been a little bit negative, but ironically, when a lot of negative things happen, you kind of have to look at the bright side of things. You kind of have to it's weird, but it's just like when it's cold, you're like, oh man, I just enjoyed it when it was hot, or when it's hot, you're like, man, I love the cold. So it's the grass is always greener kind of type of mentality, and you kind of have to do that. And regardless if you believe in that or not, you kind of have to force yourself to think like that so you can get out of that, deep place. So I was having a little bit of hard time finding motivation, but man, just the support I kind of have around me, people that reach out, people that are still, I'm not going to name drop anyone, but who you are, but some people still reach out for, checking in. They're like, hey, when's your next fight, man? Can I get an interview? It's just nice to get people that still, motivate you and just kind of reach out. And they're like, I don't care if you have a fight, I want to chat with you still. It's like, what do you need? So there's a lot of people that still reach out. And during those times, you really know who's your friends and who's just still kind of sitting on the sideline. So it was really nice. And I'm very fortunate to have that support system. And then I just kind of had to dig deep. A lot of last year was a learning lesson, like a philosophy, like, man, my parents had to escape from, poverty, this and that. And, I'm like, man, I have it kind of easy. I'm complaining in a house. I'm complaining, on my MacBook that I just bought, come on, like I got to think a little bit more like, just toughen up. So I think that really made me grow up and just kind of see things aren't so bad. So I'm taking that, and it's translated into training, because everything I do in training now is about like being appreciative of the mat time I have, really focused, not just going through the motion of things, really digging deep and understanding the philosophy of every movement, why I do what I do, why you should do this, why you should do that. This guy's taller. It's kind of like eat, sleep, and drink and breathe martial arts, but it goes parallel with life. Like in martial arts, the next round you could come out and go like, coach, I'm tired. I want to sit this one out and not do anything. Or you could, go in there and flow and communicate with your training partner and just say, hey, I'm a little flat. Let's work a little bit more this round. Or, you have to survive in that round. You have to really dig deep and say, hey, I need to survive this round. Get on a single leg, take the guy down, hold him. So it's kind of like, life. I found a lot of parallels, and I think it really helped with my overall MMA game.
Yeah, very well said. And there's no doubt that you have a lot of people that clearly support you and are on your team. You're a good human being inside and outside of the cage. And you mentioned Dodge Sports. It's a big shout out to Matt and Joey, two of the best in the business right there. I do want to ask you too, like, it had to have been very, very frustrating for you not to be able to find fights, because there still was promotions putting on events. Granted, there wasn't a lot of them outside of the big ones, but there still were some every, here and there. How difficult was that for you, just to try to stay dialed in and focused, knowing that you might get a short notice fight?
That was the problem. The most frustrating thing ever, because here's why. I have a management team now. They're getting me fights. Problem is, my gym's closed because California is super strict on certain rules, and I'm not biased. I'm not for or against it. I just have to throw that out there. But it was like, hey, you have a fight in 3 weeks' notice. I know I could take this guy, but my coach can't come out because he's quarantined, or someone at the gym got COVID, so we closed down. There's a little bit, underground training that's going on, but I can't go participate in that because someone just got COVID, and I'm like, if I get COVID, even if it doesn't affect me or not, and I get tested before the fight, I'm not going to be able to fight. And I just flew myself out there for a short notice fight, or I get a fight. And I'm like, okay, I'm training for it. And then they're like, oh yeah, you're going to have to cover your whole traveling fees. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting paid much right now. And it's like, what do you want me to do? You want me to cover my own flight? You want me to cover my own gas, fly a corner out? I can only have one corner. I could only, my diet has to be a certain way, but it's like you're flying in literally 2 days before the fight. I'm just like, I'm at the level now where it's like I can't. It's not like I'm building my career still. I'm at a point where I left off. Like my last fight in Taiwan, I was in the main event. I have a 4-fight win streak. It's hard to keep that momentum going when you're literally. It feels like I'm taking 2 steps back. I'm fighting on, like, let's say LFA gave me a great fight offer, and I need to be the best version of myself possible. But how can I do that with all these little distractions on the side, or like limitations, And then the car accident definitely didn't help. It's another expense I got to pay for, with the car now. And there's just a lot of stuff like that going into it. So it's definitely really frustrating seeing some of these guys that are fighting. I'm like, I know I could do really well with these guys. Or like, I have a question. I'm like, I want to go against the, D1 wrestler like that. I think I got some stuff in the books that I could some tricks that I could really work on to go against somebody like that, and watching all these fights. But it just taught me patience and to keep my head down, Don't worry so much about what all those other guys are doing, and just focus. Am I getting better every day, or am I at least taking the opportunity to train every day? So that's kind of what happened. So yeah, it was really frustrating. But Matt and Joey, I will say this: when they signed me, I was at the height of my career. I had everything I ever worked for. I felt like I was getting the ball rolling, finally making a breakout, name. Had a bunch of stuff lined up. All that got put to a halt. It was like taken away because of COVID. The one thing I will say is that was the perfect time for Matt and Joey to either drop me as a management and just be like, you know what, we could spend our dollars on someone else. But they saw the long-term game. They saw that they're like, you know what, we could build a legacy together. Who cares if year 1 didn't work out, because year 2, 3, 4, and 5 are still waiting. So the fact that they were so patient and communicated with me all the time, they checked in time to time. They're like, hey, how are you doing mentally? How are you doing physically? What can we do to help? The fact that they checked in and kind of offered, it showed me a little bit of sincerity in that, like, that's a great management team. They're looking out for you, not just for your fights, but your well-being. And I don't know, I'm saying I don't know, not in a hypothetical kind of way or like rhetorical kind of way, but it's like I really don't know how other management teams are. Some of them have like a huge stable of fighters, and I don't know how they can get back to everyone, whereas Dodge Sports really, like, we have over 10 guys I think on the roster, but the fact that they still checked in with me on, like, every other week and on a regular basis chatting. And Joey's awesome. I got to meet him in Colorado finally a few months ago when my teammate Nick fought in Cheyenne, Wyoming for Sparta. I went to go corner him, and I met up with Joey and just chatting with him and just kind of reflecting back on all the times he was like, yeah, man, I can't wait till you fight. Once you fight, he kept that optimism, and that's what made me go like, wow, the fact that he's still excited, I mean, I have to be excited now, so it was really good. And I think it was they're great. I can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, no doubt. You just cut a long, basically PR promo for them. You know that, right? They'll be able to use that to promote Dodge Sports. So, well,
yeah. No, that's cool. I guess that, yeah, that's a good one.
Well, let's talk about this next one. You're traveling to Colorado. You're main eventing another card here. How are they taking care of you as far as flying you out, corners? What's that whole situation like?
For the first time, I mean, I'm not asking these questions to the promotion. Joey and them are handling it. We're working on a lot of options right now. I got some good friends in Colorado, actually, I made when I went to go corner my friend Nick, my teammate Nick. Some guys reached out and they're just like, hey, come to our gym, come train, this and that. So we might head out there a little bit earlier just to get acclimated to the higher elevation, 4,600 feet above sea level. Going to train with some of the guys there about 2 weeks or a week and a half. I don't know. Last time I went, I definitely felt it, but I feel like I also acclimated a little bit faster too, because I'm kind of in shape, and I'm a little bit small. I don't have a lot of like muscle mass that I this is like kind of bro science, but if I was a really strong guy, I had a lot of muscle mass, it would take more oxygen, and then it would be harder for me to acclimate. But, I think because of a smaller frame for me, and at the time I went, I was kind of like went there with like a playful mentality. I got to roll with the black belt, and I got to hit pads with my coach. I felt great. In the first 2 rounds, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt like Thor's hammer was on my chest, man. I was like, I cannot breathe. But then towards the end, I felt really good. I was like, I got a second win. Maybe I am acclimating. So that was literally a day or 2 after I landed. So it felt great. I loved it. Colorado is cool. I love Colorado. After going there last time and just kind of chatting with Joey and seeing all like the airport, the little conspiracy theory they have that at that airport, it's kind of cool. It was fun. I was seeing it, and then just chatting with Joey about Colorado and how nice the weather kind of was. It's like a lot of land. It's different from California, like a lot of hills, mountains, a little bit. So it was nice to see. So I like it. And Joey and Matt, they're handling all that. And Michael, he does the PR stuff with Dodge Sports. So he was able to, find me a bunch of interviews. And I'm like, wow, I've always had to do that myself. So I feel like I'm literally spoiled. I'm sitting at home, and he's like, hey, you have a call in about 2 hours, just reminding you. I'm like, wow, this feels nice. I used to have to write it down my notes. I have to think about training. Now having a management team and working hard to earn that spot with this management team, it does feel nice that it's paying off, and I'm working with a lot of professionals. So it's making my job a lot easier. So in terms of the whole staying there and whatnot, I have them figuring it out for me. I don't have to really do anything.
Gotcha. Well, that's perfect. Even better. Now, what weight class will this fight be at? And what's your weight at right now? How do you feel like this cut will be for you? It'll pretty much be a normal cut for you.
This fight's at bantamweight. I don't know if they have that 1 pound weight allowance like, in California. So I will have to find that out. It does make a difference. But I used to cut from 160, right? My first 2 Bellator fights, I cut from 160 to 135. Never doing that again. I wasn't actually a true 160 pounder. I was just a lot of water weight. I was like 155 technically, but then 5 pounds of water. But ever since then, I've had a nutritionist, strength conditioning coach, and we kind of talk and bounce ideas off each other. So I definitely think this weight cut's going to be easier, even though I haven't cut that amount of weight in a long time. My last 2 fights in Taiwan were at 140 catch weights, just because there was no ranking system there. We kind of like made an agreement. This 35 fight, it will feel kind of nice, I'm going to be honest with you, because the last 2 times I feel like I've been cutting to 140. I'm like, I still feel so good at 140. I don't usually feel that great at 140. Usually at 140, I'm kind of like drained. But I think it's because my nutritionist, Arena, she's really good at she's vegan, but she doesn't force that idea on me. But she's giving me like all these little tips and tricks. So like, well, check this out. You could eat some honey. The sugar in these fruits aren't bad. And she's just throwing like a lot of stuff that I would need to spend countless hours of time researching. She just gives it to me, that knowledge, and she explains in a way where it makes sense. She gives me like this template, and I didn't really need to bother her too much. She just gave me a template. I kind of followed it, and she checked in with me. So cutting weight now is so much easier. I have a good system. Right now I'm under 150, so I feel, and I have a month and a half left, so I'm like, man, this weight cut's going to be super easy. And then the thing is I've been eating more than I ever have. So it's really weird how I'm able to kind of do this now. I'm getting a little bit older too, and I'm not saying I'm old, but I am getting older, so my body is changing. So I think I'm slowly starting to peak. I've always been a late bloomer. I'm about to turn 26 next month, and I think finally my body's like, oh, you're getting man strength now. I don't know why I'm getting it now, but hey, if that means I have longevity in this game, because the older I get, the better I get, then I'll take it. So I'm feeling much better. I feel like my body is communicating with me a lot more. We're on the same plane, like we're on the same plane. We can communicate with each other very well, and I truly believe you can do that with your body. Like your body will give you these responses and whatnot. So I feel great for this fight. The 135 is not. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna go back to 140 or 145 anytime soon, because the fights I'm going to have now are going to start getting ranked and potential title shots. So 35 is definitely going to be it.
Okay. That's great to hear. This is an interesting matchup because Alejandro is 2-1 in his pro career. Both of his wins are by way of round 1 submission. So it seems like maybe that's his bread and butter. But when I look at it from the outside looking in here, this is a guy who's new in his professional career, and he probably is looking at you like as someone that maybe he can make his name off of. So it's a little bit of a dangerous fight. You're probably expected to go in there and win. I think it's safe to say. So when you look at that aspect of it, do you feel more pressure, and how do you like this matchup for yourself?
I actually look at it as I'm being brought in to lose because he's a Colorado guy. They're flying me in to fight their hometown guy. So I actually think I'm the one that's supposed to go in there and lose. And I think, yeah, he's 2-1, but look at his amateur record. He's got an extensive amateur record. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I know he has more than me. Combined his amateur fights and his pro fights, he's got more fights than me overall. Yeah, he's 2-1. That doesn't say anything. He trains with Factory X Muay Thai and MMA or something like that. He's got good guys, UFC fighters that he trains with. So, I mean, he's game. He's really game. If anything, I'm coming in here after a year-long layoff, a year and a half, and I'm going into his hometown. He's used to all the advantages are on his side. So I don't know. I think people who think I'm supposed to win are, they must give me a lot of credit, or they think I'm really, they think I'm really good or something like that, because I appreciate it. But I actually think the overall general consensus, if you look at this fight, was I forgot how it happened, like details, but I do remember I was given an opportunity for a potential main event slot, and then he accepted my fight. So I didn't even know who I was going to fight. I believe he just accepted it. I'm not really too sure, but I remember chatting with Joey about it. So the way I see it is I'm going in there as the underdog, trying to prove everyone wrong and showcase everyone that, yeah, he's got jujitsu skills, but I've been training jiu-jitsu since I was 9. I just haven't showed it in my MMA game yet. And every day I'm practicing on becoming more and more well-rounded. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out there and I show my jiu-jitsu and, pull off a submission or something like that. And I'll just be, hey guys, I have jiu-jitsu too, don't forget about that. So I think it's an interesting matchup, but it's no longer just about, I think, just skills and technique. I think a lot of it too, going into this fight, is mentality for me. In my last few fights, the mentality wasn't where it needed to be, and I still won. Now, my physicality, and my mentality are kind of coinciding and colliding with each other now, and I can only imagine what that will do. And if I go in there, and I make mistakes, I need to fix it. And this is where I'm learning. I've learned lessons. I need to go in here now, and this is the test. I need to see if I pass or fail. And if I fail, we got to go back to the drawing board and go, like, why the heck did that happen? But based off of the way I'm training, I'm really feeling this one. I'm really feeling this one. This one gets me nervous in a way where it's like, it's not nervous like, ooh, there's a fight. It's like when you're going to Disneyland, you're like, ooh, I'm gonna have so much fun, And then I'm like, that's like me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till when I get there. There's a buffet here. I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna go there. It's like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. So I'm kind of excited like that.
Okay, so it sounds like you're going there to eat, which might be dangerous for your opponent based on how good everything is clicking for you right now, my man. Now, as far as watching the fight, for anyone that can't be there in the venue, night of the fight, is there a way to watch it online so people back home can watch and support you?
Yeah, I believe they have a pay-per-view. I don't know if it's the first one of the year or the second one. And I will be posting links on my social media, Facebook, Instagram, on how to purchase I don't know if you have to purchase the pay-per-view or it's like a live stream. So I will have to get that information down. That's the whole point of having a management team now, where I don't have to do that stuff. But I will ask them for the info, and I know a lot of people have been asking me how can I watch this and that. So I do need to figure that out soon, and I'll get back to everyone. But if they follow me on social media, they should be able to see my posts and links and whatnot.
Perfect. Again, my man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Khai Wu, the Shadow, is making his return to action July the 24th in the main event of Colorado Combat Club 7. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
You could follow me at Khai Wu on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. You could just look up my athlete page. There's not a lot of Khai Wus out there. So you could just find me on there. And then a lot of my sponsors are on there. My sponsors aren't just like, quick money grabs. They've been with me through the pandemic, and I really appreciate them. So I do want to thank them because they supported me when they didn't have to, and I wouldn't have gotten mad at them if they didn't. But I really want to thank them. I want to thank Dodge Sports for connecting me with everyone. My new gym, Resistance, Gorilla Jiu-Jitsu Turlock, Patriot. We call him Patriot. He's one of my jiu-jitsu coaches now. He's been so kind to give me he's a killer. People don't know how good he is because he just doesn't have that name. But like if you put him against some of the world-class grapplers, I guarantee you not only will he hold his own, he'll surprise people. So I really appreciate him giving me the gym and his time. And to all my training partners and then people that interview me, man, I can't thank you guys enough because talking to you guys gets me feeling like it's fight season again, like all the interviews I did in the past, the TV, radio, and all this stuff, and giving like speeches and whatnot, that feeling I have, I'm getting it now again from all the previous interviews I've been doing lately. And I'm like, oh man, it's happening. It's really happening, and it feels really good. So I do appreciate you guys for taking time out of your day in the middle of the pandemic. You guys are curious about my upcoming fight and and whatnot. I just really appreciate it. So thank you.